we have a thing that we call a correlation coefficient. And what that is a measure of how strong our correlation is. And we'll use a calculator in this class to find that correlation coefficient, and its variable is r. And the values that r can have go from -1 to a +1. And so the strength of the linear correlation, if I back up just a little bit, some of these I said I don't think it's a very strong correlation, and so I drew a lot of dots to the sides of where a line would go through. And that's what we're talking about with the strength. So we want to have some kind of measure of how strong is our correlation. So when we talk about it, we can say, oh yes, but it's a weak correlation. If we have something close to this that we actually found, maybe we found just enough data to make it look like a correlation, we would have to call this one a weak linear correlation, because there's so many data points away from our line that our line doesn't really represent the data. But on these two, with the cancer risk and the grades, we can see that the dots are much closer to the line, and so this line does a better job of representing all the data, and the same here. So that's the strength of the linear correlation, where we're talking about how good a job is that line doing of explaining our data. And so here are the ways, the different correlation coefficients, the R values that we could come up with and what they mean. I wrote in all the values for the negative correlation coefficients and a correlation coefficient of 0. And if you're close to -1, you have a very strong negative correlation. If you're at about -0.5, you have a moderate negative correlation. And if you're at 0, there is no correlation. That would be like that initial big blob that we had here for the IQ and the debt. And then in terms of the positive direction, as you get close to a +1, you will have a very strong positive correlation, a moderately strong, a moderate, a weak positive correlation. So if it's a positive number, it's a positive correlation. If it's a negative number, it's a negative correlation. So there we are, weak positive, moderate positive, strong positive, and then very strong positive correlation if you happen to get an R equals a +1.